I, 22M, and my girlfriend, 22F, have been together for 5 years. We've been together since high school, and until recently, I've always considered her to be my future wife. I've even bought a ring and was planning on proposing over the coming months. Well, last weekend it was my girlfriend's best friend's birthday. She and her friends booked a private lounge at a club. Obviously, I didn't go since 1. I wasn't invited, and 2. I hate clubbing or anything associated with that. I was actually looking forward to spending an evening alone and just binging Netflix or something. Well, my GF left around 9 p.m, and I just crashed on the couch and watched some YouTube. Well, around 11 p.m, I started to feel this distinct stomach pain. The same pain you experience when someone hits you in the nuts. It wasn't bad at first, and I just thought my body was playing some tricks on me, but in the span of about 5 minutes, the pain just kept getting worse until I was basically stuck in the fetal position on the couch. Again, initially, I just thought the pain would go, but then I pulled down my pants, and it felt like my right testicle was starting to swell. The moment I tried to get up and grab my phone to inspect whatever the fuck was happening to me, I just collapsed to the floor. That was probably the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. Imagine being pelted in the nuts over and over again. I did manage to crawl to the table next to the couch to get my phone. I immediately tried calling my GF, but she declined my call. I then texted her that something was wrong and she could come home immediately. The club she went to is like a 5-minute walk from our apartment. I just put the phone down and started throwing up because of the pain. After throwing up for like a minute, it felt like the pain started to cool down a bit, and I grabbed my phone again, and that's when I saw her response. She just replied with a "what is it?" I tried calling her again, but as expected, she just declined again. I then texted her that I need to go to the hospital now. She then asked for what, and I just replied with "my balls hurt." I then just dialed for emergency services. I explained my situation to the emergency responder, and she asked if there was somebody that could drive me to the hospital, and I stupidly said yes. I thought my GF would be home soon, and she would drive me to the hospital. I felt embarrassed to call an ambulance because my balls hurt. After I told the emergency responder this, she then told me that she would call me again in 10 minutes to make sure I was being driven to the hospital. I then put down the phone and went back to vomiting on our carpet. Again, after the pain went away for a bit, I checked my phone and saw that my GF just responded with laughing emojis. I again tried to call her, but as expected, she just declined again. She texted me that this wasn't the time to play games, and she then told me that if I texted or called her again, she would block my number. I again tried calling her, but she declined again, and when I tried calling her a second time, I realized she actually blocked me. I went back to curling up on the floor, and now I started shivering. At this point, I didn't care about being embarrassed and just called emergency services again and asked for an ambulance. It felt like an eternity, but the ambulance eventually came and rushed me to the hospital. I don't remember much of surgery since I was sedated, but I remember waking up eventually, and my right testicle was being stitched together. The doctor informed me that I had a testicular torsion, and I was extremely lucky to reach the hospital in time. I could have easily been forced to surgically remove my testicle. I checked my phone and saw the missed calls and messages my GF left me. In summary, she came home from clubbing and smelled the vomit in our apartment. When she saw the vomit on our carpet, she got mad and tried searching the apartment to find me. When she realized I wasn't there, only then did it hit her that I was actually being serious. I just texted her in which hospital I was staying in and my room number, then went to sleep. I woke up the next morning and saw my GF sleeping on a couch next to my bed. After she woke up, she started bombarding me with apologies. She thought I was joking, that I was trying to ruin their night, etc. I didn't have the energy to argue, so I just kept quiet. I was beyond hurt by what she did, and I wanted to break up with her then and there. Why the fuck would somebody ignore messages where their partner is begging them to come home? Not only that, she stayed in the club until 3 a.m. and didn't even consider going home to check on me. She did stay with me in the hospital for the remaining 2 days I was admitted there and did take good care of me, but I was still beyond pissed at her. Ever since coming home yesterday, I've been wanting to dump her, but at the same time, I feel like she genuinely thought I was joking and made a mistake. I feel conflicted and don't know how to proceed in this situation. Wibta, if I dumped her? Am I overreacting? How would you guys navigate this mess? Edit, just to clarify. No, I never had an issue with her going out in the first place or have ever pulled pranks for her to come home from a night out. And BTW, thank you guys so much for the support. I'm beyond blown away. Comments, Poncho_2504. This is a weird one. If someone texts me telling me they need to go to the hospital because their balls hurt, I'd think they were out of their mind. If they text me telling me they're in excruciating pain, vomiting on the floor and feeling like their balls are being repeatedly ripped from their body, I'd be there in minutes. Local record 7707, NTA. Not walking a total 10 minutes to check on your so after your texts is nuts unless you've cried wolf before. Edit, I'm not insinuating it was a recurring event. I don't condone drunk driving. Walking to check on op was what I said and meant. Sad_wind 8580, even if she thought you were joking, you deserved a phone call. your partner should be worried about you versus why are you ruining my night? Have you ever done this before? She could have called to confirm something was or was not wrong when you said hospital. I would really consider if you went to continue this relationship. She prioritized partying over a phone call, heard hospital and still blocked you, and was planning on yelling about the vomiting. I wish you well in your healing. Low beams, former paramedic here. Dude, when you're in that level of pain, don't call your fucking GF. Call emergency services. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. Oh, and NTA, but your GF is. They have a strong disconnect in communication styles. If they get married before figuring it out, they're going to blame each other. What is her communication style in this scenario? I don't think there's enough info on how they communicate. My wife absolutely would laugh at me if I said my balls hurt, but would also drop everything if I told her I was serious. If Op has never had an emergency in this relationship, especially being so young, it's not unreasonable to assume their GF thought it was a joke. This can be an excellent moment for discussions. Op. She did stay by you and clearly feels awful about her initial reaction. You never need a reason to end a relationship, but if you have a desire to stay, use this as a chance to set up clearer communication. Jokes are well and good, but blocking is too far going forward. That also means when you are joking, you need clarity on what's too far, so blocking isn't required. NTA, sorry someone cast testicular torsion on you. Update, first of all, I just want to thank all of you for the amazing support. It's been quite overwhelming, to be honest. I have so many unread messages, so please, guys, give me some time. I promise I'll respond to all of them. First of all, I would like to clear up some misconceptions brewing in the comment section of my last post. No, I have never pulled any malicious pranks on my girlfriend to get her to come home early from a night out or anything. Neither do I have an issue with her going out, as long as she doesn't come home at like 6 a.m. And no, I've never blown up her phone like that while she was out with friends. We usually go out together since we share the same friend groups. Here are mine and her messages from WhatsApp in order since people thought I just texted her my balls hurt or something. Translated. 1. Me, declined my first 2 calls. Her name, please come home something is wrong. 2. Her? Can't talk RN. What is it? 3. Me, tried calling her again. I need to go to the hospital. 4. Her? What? 5. Me, again tried calling her twice. My balls hurt. Please come now. Something is wrong. 6. Her. 7. Me, tried calling her again twice after calling emergency services. 8. Her, I swear don't bother me again or I'm blocking you. Let me fucking enjoy my night out. 9. Me, tried calling her again twice and got blocked. At this point, the pain was too bad to try anything with her anymore and I just called an ambulance. 10. Her next message after unblocking me at 2 a.m. My name, why the fuck is there vomit in the living room and where the fuck are you? Why is the front door unlocked if you left somewhere? She then went into a full mental breakdown as she realized I was being serious about going to the hospital. Over 70 messages. Yes, it was stupid of me to expect her to drive me to the hospital since she was drinking. But again, in that type of pain, you don't think clearly. I think I needed her more for moral support and I did it out of pure instinct. Not immediately calling an ambulance was also stupid of me. I was in a lot of pain, but stupidly at the time thought that whatever I was going through would eventually calm down and driving to the hospital would be better than calling an ambulance. Also, in hindsight, me being embarrassed about calling an ambulance over my balls was definitely also really stupid. The amount of mental gymnastics some of you did in my comments to paint me as some sort of dweeb or emotionally needy person for bothering my GF was truly mind-blowing to me. I promise you if my GF was in my position and I ignored her, none of you would be defending me. Now for the update. Thank for all those who wished me a speedy recovery. I'm doing much better now. Not being able to go to work for the next 3 weeks is definitely a bummer. I work for my dad's construction company, and my job requires lifting a lot of heavy weights. I'm also prohibited from having any sex for the next 2 to 3 weeks as well. I might have also developed some trauma due to the pain. I randomly get the same sensation again, and it's driving me nuts. See what I did there? As for me and my GF, it's complicated. As so many of you and my mom told me, 5 years is definitely a long time to be just throwing away without having a proper conversation with her. So I did just that. I told her how hurt I felt by everything. I mentioned the following points: her ignoring my messages and declining my calls. Yes, clubs are loud, but where I'm from there are smoking areas where you can definitely have a conversation over the phone. Blocking me after I tried calling her. Her not checking on me once even though the club she went to is only a 5-minute walk from our apartment. Her being angry about the vomit instead of being concerned. After hearing that, she got defensive and told me that I could have conveyed my situation better and that she genuinely thought I was joking. She was drunk and wasn't thinking clearly. She also told me that it couldn't have been that painful and I was over-exaggerating. I then told her yes, I could have phrased my messages better and I apologized for that, but I then described the pain I was in and told her that I barely had the strength to text her, let alone send her a detailed description of what was happening to me, and definitely couldn't think straight throughout everything. After hearing what I said, she started crying and apologizing for what she did. She told me if she knew how serious it was, we wouldn't have been having this conversation. She then also apologized for her being mad over the vomit. According to her, she was drunk and tired and was just expressing frustration. I then asked her why she thought I was joking and if she was cheating on me, because this was seriously out of character for her, hence why I immediately trusted her with this. She started crying harder and she looked like I just slapped her in the face. She told me that she just thought I was being insecure about her being in the club with a bunch of guys and no, she wasn't cheating on me and would never do something like that. We then hugged for a solid 10 minutes after that. The next part was really hard for me, but I told her I need some space to gather my thoughts and told her she needs to stay with her parents for the time being. She immediately started having a mental breakdown and asked if I was breaking up with her. I told her I wasn't sure and needed time to see if I still trusted her after all of this, and what she did was beyond disrespectful. How could I trust someone with my life after they pulled something like this? I then told her that we are young and this mess was mostly caused by our immaturity. This entire situation was an important life lesson for the both of us regardless if we stayed together. After begging a bit more, she then put her head down and started packing a few essentials. Before leaving, she told she would be willing to do anything to make up for this and that I could take as much time as I needed. She then gave me a big kiss and left. That was 2 days ago and this is where we currently stand. I still give her updates on my healing, but besides that we don't contact each other. I'm really torn right now. I still don't have that trust in her, but her owning up to her mistake shows that she knows she fucked up and is remorseful. This is definitely something out of the ordinary for her, but there will have to be major boundaries and new rules set. I can think of the following. 1. If she blocks me again for anything equals blocking herself from ever seeing me again. 2. Ignoring my messages will not be tolerated anymore. 3. If she goes out alone again, she has to pick up if I call regardless of the situation. 4. As many of you suggested, having an emergency code like hospital or something would probably have to be implemented. I'm not going to abuse any of these boundaries, but I just want peace of mind knowing that my partner has my best interest at heart even when she is physically not around me. Again, I just want to thank you guys for everything, and this whole experience was definitely an eye-opener for me. Should I get back together with her? If yes, would my demands be reasonable and could I add something more? Wibta if I dumped her over this whole saga? Comments, Gilio_NH. Time in doesn't mean you need to stay with someone. That just delays the ending of it if you think you can't get past not trusting her. You would not be an asshole if you chose to end it. You would also not be one if you decided to give it a go. You need to go with your gut. I personally would have a hard time getting past someone blocking me when we are in a relationship. That level of petty would be too much for me. To me, that does not imply a partnership, and I need a partnership with my significant other. This October will be my 30th anniversary of being married. If he blocked me or did not pick up when I made multiple calls, that would be a trust broken, and I'm not sure I would be able to get past that. That being gross, when I woke up my partner in the middle of the night for him. It was 9 a.m. but he got off work at 5 a.m. In pain so bad all I could communicate was something is wrong. He dropped everything to help me. He drove me to the hospital, called my parents for me, explained what had been going on to the doctors, advocated for me to get pain meds, and stayed with me the entire time. That's what a caring partner should do. If a partner doesn't help, okay, maybe they can't. If my partner even called me twice in a row, I'd drop everything to answer or call back. If for some reason I can't, I'll text him. Your partner is a million red flags disguised as human, I think. Wide_comment 3081. But also, I would never be able to recover from this if this happened to me. You were having a medical emergency and she's still trying to blame you for not communicating clearly. Now on to the next story. Story 2. Discovered that my long-distance girlfriend of a year was married the whole time. So, I met with her husband, exposed the affair, and got revenge. About a year ago, I, 29 male, met a woman, 31 female, at a conference in Baltimore. I was only there for work and I wasn't expecting our night together to evolve into anything else. But we hit it off, and after hooking up for the first time during the conference, we exchanged numbers and we kept in touch. We lived about an hour away from each other, so it wasn't far enough to completely rule out a long-distance relationship. We didn't get to see each other often, but we would text and chat when we were both available. About once or twice a month she would visit me in the city and we would go out together. I loved seeing her. We had a wonderful connection and I really felt like our relationship could go somewhere. However, in hindsight, I realized that I was putting more into the relationship than she was. I didn't think anything about our relationship until I was talking to a friend about us. I explained to her how my girlfriend would visit me, but I almost never visited her. Just to clarify, it wasn't for lack of trying. I had been vocal about wanting to travel to her apartment and meet her friends. My friend was a little weirded out by that. She said that it was odd that my girlfriend didn't want me to visit her. But at the same time, My friend is the type of person who listens to a lot of true crime and watches too much TV. We both kind of laughed it off like she was assuming there was something more going on. But our conversation did get me thinking. I thought I knew my girlfriend from the conversations we had, but it was all surface level. I knew what TV shows and books she liked, but I didn't know anything about her family. The next time I talked to her on the phone, I asked her more about herself. I wasn't asking in a way to accuse her of anything, but I genuinely wanted to learn more about her because I saw a future with her. She just told me that there wasn't much to talk about. She gave me a short story about being an only child and her parents having passed away. It made sense that if she didn't have any family around, she wouldn't bring it up. So, I moved on. Months passed in our relationship and she still didn't want me to come visit her. It was difficult for me because I really wanted to meet her friends. By that point, she had met a few of mine and they really liked her. I wanted to see the city she lived in because I was considering suggesting that we move in together. No matter how many times I asked, she always shut down the idea of me visiting. I didn't think much about it at the time, but all of our conversations were very sexual. Whenever we would be together, we would go to dinner or bar, then we would go right back to my apartment and sleep together. I kind of just thought that it was because we were apart for so long, but after a while, the lack of depth with our conversations was getting to me. I was talking to another friend about her, just venting some of my frustrations, and he mentioned that I might be a side piece. I was very shocked to hear that and honestly kind of hurt. At the time I felt like I had something special with her, and hearing that it might have been less than I thought was awful. He pointed out all of the facts and told me that if she's being very secretive about her life, it probably means that there's something she doesn't want me to know. That thing might have been that she had a partner, possibly family. I couldn't believe that. There was no chance in hell that was the case. I actually got kind of mad at my friend for even suggesting that, so I went home and I stewed on it for a while. When my anger subsided, I started to see some merit to the point he was making. I went online to read other stories about people who were unknowingly sleeping with committed people, and a lot of my circumstances aligned. I had asked my girlfriend early on in the relationship for her social media so we could add each other, but she just told me she didn't have any. She then proceeded to tell me all about how vile she thought it was, so I believed her. However, after looking online for her, I found her profiles. She had lied about having social media so she wouldn't have to add me to them. When I clicked on the Facebook link from Google, I realized that I was blocked. She was definitely trying to hide something from me. I made a fake account and I searched for her again just so I could see for myself what she was hiding. Just from the public view of her profile, I could see that she was married and seemed to be happy from the looks of it. There was a young child in a few of the photos. I didn't know if it was hers or what. I found her husband's name through her profile and I started looking at his. From what I could gather, they have been together since high school. I had my suspicions something was going on and I finally had an answer. Honestly, I kind of regretted looking into it. Before that, I had a great relationship with someone that I didn't feel guilty about. After looking at it, I couldn't help but feel like I was a bad person. I knew that I didn't know about her family, but I was still sleeping with her. Right away I knew that I was going to end everything with her. But it didn't feel right to let her get away with cheating. I needed to think of some way to tell her husband and also teach her a lesson about what she did. Through looking at his social media, I could tell that he was a realtor. I reached out to him and I set up a meeting to have a conversation with him. I said I was interested in buying a house, but of course, that was a lie. I made sure our meeting was going to be during a time when my girlfriend wasn't in the house because I didn't want her to find out about it. When the time for the meeting came, we spent a few minutes chatting with each other while I tried to decide if I actually had the nerve to tell him everything. I didn't know if that would be the end for them. I hoped that it would be because she had betrayed their marriage by being with me. After a few minutes, I confessed that I wasn't there to buy a house. I told him about how I met his wife and about the affair that ensued after, making sure he knew that I knew nothing about him and his family. He was as shocked as I was about the news. He told me something else that shocked me too. Apparently, she had been working weekends every week. She told him that it was only temporary while she was onboarding and training some new managers for work. After I told him about our relationship, he insinuated she was visiting me every weekend. But that wasn't the case. I honestly had to wonder if there was another person she was having an affair with. I only saw her once or twice a month. I sent him a bunch of screenshots and videos from our chats. I felt horrible when he was reading them in front of me. He told me that he was going to figure out what to do with them, and he thanked me for being honest with him. I spent the rest of the day feeling sick to my stomach after the conversation. I genuinely believed that she had another person that she was sleeping with. 2 days later, she called me and was immediately irate. Apparently, I had no business digging around in her life after she had made it clear she didn't want me to. I ruined her marriage and I was the worst thing that ever happened to her. I was shocked that she was blaming me for what happened. It was her choice to lie to her husband and have an affair. If I would have known that she was married, I would have never pursued her. Honestly, the fact that she wasn't even wearing her ring during the conference said enough. After I got off the phone with her, I haven't heard from her since. Her husband, on the other hand, did end up divorcing her, and he told me that she's living with her mom until she finds a new place. I couldn't help but laugh hearing that because it made me think about how she told me her parents were dead. I'm honestly just really glad I'm past this part of my life. I'm hoping I can meet someone who is truly single and be happy.